when I was looking for a godly man, I always was disappointed because I never felt like there was a guy that could lead me. Like there was I was like, where's the godly man that can lead me, right? I couldn't find them anywhere. And I realized too that like when men aren't being men, it makes women be the man.
Yeah, because women will feel a need.
Yeah, because we will feel, I think that's something that God's given us. And I've realized that I did that so many times. But I've learned this even in my relationship with Austin. We're not even married yet. But I've been practicing, like, I know God's created me to be a helper. He created women to be a helper. It literally says that in Genesis.
And God calls himself a helper.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean that you're less than, it means you're necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I started to practice this with Austin, I realized like, wow, this is actually a really amazing role that I have instead of trying to rule over him or fix him or I'm just going to control every single thing that you do because I know best. I'm going to help what God's put inside of you. Yeah. And so my question for you guys, because y'all are both married, I'm seeking to get married and do things the godly ways. In those moments of your marriage, I'm sure you guys probably had these, correct me if I'm wrong, but those moments that literally felt like, okay, I love you, but you do not feel like you're leading me in the way God has called you to lead. Yeah. How did you help your husband to his full potential in Christ instead of ruling over him and saying, I'm just going to steamroll you right now?
Yeah, you have a good story about this.
I have it's good, but it's a bad story. So John and I were first married, and I was working full-time, and he was working part-time. I had just had our first son. I am breastfeeding him, on my lunch hours. I am pumping my breasts at work. I mean, I'm leaving the house at 6:30 in the morning. I'm asking John, drop off the baby by 8. The babysitter was like, hey, he's bringing the baby late and the diaper hasn't been changed. I'm like, fine, I'll just do everything. And so I'm so stressed out. And I was taking a shower and I'm trying to relax and I'm in the shower. And I heard the Spirit of God say, you don't think John is a very good head of the household, do you? And I thought, no, I know he's not. Like, he is not. He doesn't even take out the trash. No, he is not a good head of the household. He said, you think you could do it better? And I said, yeah, I know I could do it better. He said, I've made you the head of the household, Lisa. It's a yoke to you, but it's a mantle to John. Throw it off your shoulders. And I was like, throw it off my shoulders? Nothing is going to get done. He said, John likes you doing everything. All he's ever known is a mother. And you are acting like his mother and not like his wife. Yeah. And I just remember God replaying all these times, all these conversations where I thought I was so funny, and I could look back and I was so demeaning, so emasculating, so excited that I was right and that he was wrong, and I just broke. Allie, I broke. I came out of the shower. I'm like, John, I'm so sorry. I said, I thought submission meant if I agree with you, I go along with you. But if I don't agree, I fight you tooth and nail until you change your mind. I said, I'll quit my job tomorrow. I just want to be one. And John looked at me and said, I don't think you need to quit your job, but I do think you need to quit thinking you're the source. And, here's the truth. We can be a stay-home mom and think we're the source and we'll be stressed out. Or you can be a woman who works full-time and understand God's your source, and you will have a peace that passes understanding. And I watched my husband go from a boy to a man when I stopped being his mother and I started to be his wife, which sounds really like, oh, great in theory. What does that look like? I had to shut my mouth on some stuff. I had to say, I believe you'll make a good choice. I believe you can do that. Inside my head's going, no, he can't. He can't do it. He's going to make horrible. Trusting and letting both of us have the right to make mistakes. Goodness, you're going to all grow and make mistakes and to take some risks. And that was a huge change for me and for John, because he didn't know where he was going. We were like making it up as we go along. And going back to what you said, and then I really want Christian to, because I don't know this story, so I want to hear from Christian.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
But I remember when I was dating John, I thought, well, John is too nice. I'll just push him around. And God said, there's something wrong with you, that you want someone that has to control you or somebody that you can push around. You need to deal with your own heart, Lisa. And I was like, okay. Now I can't even imagine pushing John around because he is so strong. But we both grew into that place.
And I think that's the thing I love about being Ezer and being that helper is you said this before, but it's a facet of how God works. And I don't think there's anything by happenstance about how we have relationships. And the fact that we do need to allow men to step in is not, well, we need to just sit back and wait and hope and cross our fingers that like, oh yeah, I'm going to date Austin because maybe one day he'll be a man of God. No, like you saw something in him, and we get the chance to speak to that, to grow it, to nourish it to a place of maturation. And then when we do that, I think once we step aside in that way, then they're able to see something within us. So there's something we see in them, and it's tempting to be like, well, I'll do it myself. I'll figure it out. But when you allow them to grow into it, then they do the same thing reverse. They see something within us, within female, that we can't see in ourselves, and they allow us to step into that calling. So it's like this give and take and this cycle of continual development. It's like discipleship. It's like relationship. So if you can begin doing that with the people around you, you'll have an easier time, I do believe, doing that within your marriage. But I think we also forget, like, what does a man need? Respect. What does a woman need? Love. So if we choke out his respect, we're choking out our own love too.
True.
And I mean, I would say this, it's so much harder for me to, if I'm not respecting Arden, I'm also not even being open to love. So I'm choking out what I desire from him most at my own expense, where it's actually easier. Okay, just let him rise to the occasion, and I'm going to receive more from that than I even feel like I'm losing. So I think we just have to shut the wires off sometimes. It's more of like when I get in the motions and when I get in my own head, when it's hardest. But when we are praying together, when I'm praying for him, like, I'm such a big advocate for praying for your future or your actual husband.
Plug your future husband podcast.
I was going to say your current husband, but it sounds like I'm like, oh, right now he's my husband. Tomorrow I'm going to go find a new one. But like praying for them, and it gives you spiritual eyes to see those things where it's like, well, I just wish he would do that. Okay, speak life into him. Believe he's going to do that. Watch and be amazed. And even I think infusing God into your relationship. Not what can I see now or what can I do to fix it, but like, God, what can you do when I help this man become who you want him to be, and he helps me become who you want me to be, and then that makes us powerful for the kingdom. And I could go on, but yeah, I just think there's such an opportunity there that when we call it lack, we're only going to see it as lack. But when we call it an opportunity, we're going to see some fruit grow from it that we aren't yet seeing.
Yeah, it's so true.
I want to give you a specific example I remember. So Arden and Christian, yes, so I was talking to Arden, and he and Christian had gone to Hawaii, and he spoke at the event, remember? And I asked him, I said, how did it go? And he's like, it was just okay. It was just okay. And I said, what did Christian say? And she said, you need to be a better steward of the gift of God on your life. And I was like, see, she's calling him higher because Arden has natural ability, but she saw beyond that. And also, I remember when you guys were dating, Arden telling me, she was like, hey, if you're just a player, no, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. And guys like girls.
Which he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. But guys like girls that believe the best and call out the best and put not a nagging on them, but like, hey, I know you. I know you're better than that. Yeah. I see you here, and you're behaving here. I'm not going to nag the difference. I'm going to speak. I'm going to honor and speak to who you're becoming, and not who you are right now, and challenge you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. Even in like just dating Austin, we've been dating for like 2 or 3 years now. I don't know when to start. Like, when do we start going on dates, or when do we start officially dating? You know what I mean? But I've learned that in our relationship already, where in the beginning, like especially growing up in the church, you're always taught, this is what you need. This is what you need to look for. You need a leader. You need this. You need that. And those things are true. Like, those are things that I believe God has for us. But we're never taught to call men higher. We're just taught, if they're not that, cut them off, which leaves no room for grace at all. I think I was talking to you about that.
Yeah.
Or growth, which is not what we want.
No.
We want that room for grace. We want that room for growth. And so me and Austin first started dating. It caused a lot of issues in the beginning of our relationship. God bless him that he's still with me. I'm a different person, I feel like. I literally had never dated, so he went through all of it with me. But I would always tell him in our fights, Austin, you know what? You're not doing this. You're not that. You're not this. And so I don't know if I can be in this relationship. And the second God convicted me, like, Hallie, stop doing that. Like, what have I put inside of you to call out of him? And I started encouraging him, you know, Austin, God has more for you. Like, this isn't what you're called to do. Like, this is who you really are, just like God did with Gideon when he sent the angel. Mighty warrior when he was out hiding. It amazed me how speaking higher changed everything in our relationship. And it did. It created that gentle and quiet spirit in me and took a yoke off me. Like, I'm not his savior. I'm not his mom. And I've never seen him grow more than since that shifted in my mind. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you guys enjoyed that clip, you're really going to love the full-length episode that y'all can find right here.